Yeah. Bad mic.
Which one?
There's so many to choose from. Good morning, everyone. I would like to call this meeting to order for the Tourist Development Council on February 8th at 9 a.m. And we need invocation, and our official invocation master is here.
Thank you, darling. Madam Chairman. You'll join me, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the chance to meet. We thank you that what we do today is a blessing to everybody involved. We thank you for the fact that we live in a great free nation. We pray for all the people affected by the earthquakes this week and pray that you take good care of our first responders and our military. Again, thank you for letting us do the job we're put here to do. We ask these things and thank you for them in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
All right. President today is Chair Holly Davis, Vice Chair Mike Ingalls, Councilmember Jackie Hebner, Dr. Paresh Desai, Michael Mankey, and Michael Shoemaker. Absent Jean McGee, Ashton Rock, and Cindy Guy currently. So we have a quorum.
Outstanding. All right, looking for motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion by Ms. Hefner, second by Mr. Mankey. Any public comment? Any board comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion, against? I'm not in my groove this morning, sorry. Motion carries unanimously. Okay. That was 4 and 4A, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we need a motion for approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion
I'll
by
step in for
Did a
Cindy.
good job, Cindy.
motion. Motion by Ms. Hefner, second by Mr. Mankey. Any public comment? Any board discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, open to the public. Anyone? Anyone? All right, moving right along. Presentations.
Okay. So
Not for a presentation.
this one. Oh,
Only
turn
for
it
open
on.
to the public.
Back up. Okay, so today, Save Crystal River is here with a request for funding to finish the Kings Bay project that they came to the board initially to help kickstart. So I'll turn it over to Lisa. She's got walk you through their presentation, and we'll go from there.
This one.
Good to see you, Lisa.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Lisa Moore. I'm president of Save Crystal River and the Kings Bay Restoration Project. Save Crystal River, as I'm sure you know, is a 501c3 nonprofit organization made up entirely of volunteers. And we're dedicated to the cleaning and restoration of Kings Bay. So the first question comes up, why does Crystal River and Kings Bay even matter at all? We're fortunate that we are a 600-acre spring-fed bay that flows into one of the 2 largest seagrass beds in the entire North America. We are the 2nd largest spring system in the state of Florida that discharges over 630 million gallons of fresh water every single day into our community. We're home to one of the largest manatee populations anywhere, and we're a critical habitat and a national wildlife refuge for manatees. We're also an outstanding Florida waterway since 1983, and as we always say, if you're an outstanding Florida waterway, you should look like one. One of the largest drivers of ecotourism in Crystal River in Citrus County is Crystal River, with 52% of the visitors coming to Citrus County comes to see the manatees. And since 2013, TDC has recorded an estimated 60% increase in visitors to Citrus County for a total economic impact of nearly $2 billion. So it's important that we protect the ecosystem that is so important to our tourism. But something happened in Kings Bay. Something went wrong. Back in the 1960s, a lot of canals were dug, a lot of homes were built, and it brought a lot of pressure to the water. There was an extensive use of herbicides to kill the invasive species hydrilla, and all of that debris just kept falling to the bottom. But in 1993, we got the knockout punch. The no-name storm hit Crystal River and Citrus County and threw tons of salt water into our community. And anybody who was here knows that just about everything died. Your plants died in your yard, the plants died in the river. There was a lot of destruction. And this paved the way for the invasion of a blue-green algae, Lingbia, that took over the entire river, all the bays, all the canals, all the springs. And it depleted oxygen from the water, and we lost our habitat. So we lost our fish, our crabs, and we even lost birds populations because they had nothing to eat. And this is what the entire Kings Bay looked like in 2015, just 8 years ago. This is what our entire bay looked like. Anywhere you went, you jumped in, and it was nasty. It's 4 to 6 feet deep on the bottom. It was horrible. The bottom was bad, but the top was worse. Okay, this is what came to the top of the water. It was everywhere. It was on people's boat docks, on their seawalls. You couldn't swim in that. And I'm sure tourists would not want to see that when they came to Crystal River. All that debris also piled up and clogged up a bunch of our spring vents, so there was no more flow. Fortunately, this is where we are now. 8 years later, there are lush beds of seagrass growing in Kings Bay, and it's beautiful again. The water is clear. The manatees love it. The residents love it, and the tourists love it. This is Hunter Springs Canal. We didn't plant this. This came out of our project, and one of the hurricanes actually pulled water out of the river. Well, when it did, it pulled our grass with it, and it populated areas that we didn't plant. So around Christmas Island, down Hunter Springs Canal, and a number of other places across Kings Bay, we now have grass where we didn't used to have it. So our 90 acres of planted canals is now covering 300 acres of Kings Bay and still growing. Our goal from the beginning was to plant those 92 acres of our project by July 3rd of 2023, our city's centennial anniversary, and we're going to make it. I'm so excited. So our fish and our crabs are back, and so are the industries that depend on them. Fishing is phenomenal. I talked to somebody the other day, and they said they went out in 30 minutes and limited out in redfish and trout in Kings Bay. And if you go out there just about any time of the day, you'll see dolphin, and you'll see tarpon rolling in the river. There's bass everywhere. Schools of mullet are back. I mean, it is really a thriving ecosystem again. This is one example of what happened just in House Springs. That's a small spring. But on the left is what it looked like when the Lingbia was there. And on the right is what it looks like today. It's clear water, it's got eelgrass in the bottom, and there's life everywhere. Not only that, we weren't planning on this, but it happened. Over 850 spring vents have been opened. That means there's a greater freshwater flow down the river. The phosphates and nitrates that get into the river are more diluted, and there's more warm water refuge for manatees. These forests of grass are growing like crazy. When you see the bubbles, that's oxygen being put into the water. And the little spiral things, those are the seeds. So these seed pods are going up, and so it is reseeding itself now, which is a huge improvement for the project. We believe in our community that in order to preserve this treasure, we have to educate, and we have to tell future generations and new residents how they need to help us keep this going. So every year we go into Crystal River Primary School. Every single student in the school plants eelgrass in an aquarium in their classroom. They grow it all year long, and then at the end of the year, the 5th grade class goes to Hunter Springs Park and plants all the school's grass out there. There's hardly any place to plant grass anymore. They have put so much grass out there at Hunter Springs Park. on the one end where they can get to. We work with the Citrus County Education Foundation, and we work at the Book, Line, and Thinkers program. And we go out and educate the kids. All the fifth graders come to either the plantation or down into Homosassa, because the Homosassa River is doing the same thing we're doing now. And they learn about the eelgrass, and then the guides take every single fifth grader fishing. I think that's a phenomenal project. We started a responsible anchoring program to educate the public about the damage that anchors do to the eelgrass beds. We teach the kids, and we made a video. It's at the Visitor Center now. The Freedom Boat Club is now showing it to all of their people that come here, and we're hoping to expand that project, and we've also put it on the internet so that we don't lose the grass that we've already planted. We work with social media. We work with both the print and the TV media, trying to spread the word, of educate people about the project. We go to Tallahassee with Citrus County group every year and try to spread the word. We're trying to educate so that this never happens again. This is what it looks like at Hunter Springs when the kids go down there to plant their eelgrass. They plant the grass. They do educational experiences. They have virtual reality goggles that we bought with a grant from Duke Energy. We even had a mermaid show up one year, help them plant. And they even clean cages, just like the divers do, so that they know that when they plant that grass, you can't have cloudy water, you can't have anything on top of it like debris and floating grass and things like that, because the grass on the bottom needs sunlight. So we show them about cleaning that. And then they do their anchor pull to see the damage that anchors do to the seagrass beds. So this is a map of our project that is almost completed right now. Everything in red is done. It goes all the way up from our original pilot project around Hunter Springs Basin, all the way through the canals around Three Sisters Springs, back around, I still call it Port Paradise, Waterfront Social, and the plantation, and all of the communities. We planted upland canals because we felt like that would have the least pressure on the grass, and as the grass grew, it would grow out into the bay, and that's exactly what's happening. So everything looks great, right? So what's the problem? This is it. This is Hunter Springs Basin in one particular area where SwiftMud did an experiment in 2015. And when they left, they took out their cages, but they didn't take out the Lyngbia. And we have never had the funding to go over there and clean out that Lyngbia. Now, not only is it proliferating in that particular region, but it floats up, like you saw before, and goes over and gets into our cleaned areas. So we're constantly fighting a maintenance battle because of this patch of Lyngbia. That project was unsuccessful and abandoned, and that Lyngbia continues to grow. However, SwiftMud has now approved funding in the amount of $249,123 for Save Crystal River to vacuum out the detrital material, the Lyngbia, from the 3/4 acre SwiftMud site. The problem is that won't fix the problem. It only does it halfway. It removes the Lyngbia, but unless you replant and you maintain the area, it'll just come back. So what we're asking for today, and that grant is also a cost reimbursement fund. So unless we find matching funds, we may not be able to take that money. We don't have $249,000 sitting there and to reimburse them with. So we're requesting a matching fund from TDC to enable us to plant and maintain that SwiftMud area once it is cleaned. We are also going to the state this year, to the legislature and to DEP, asking for additional money to finish Hunter Springs Basin and to go up and clean around the city's boardwalk and that area in Cedar Cove. This is a map of the Hunter Springs Basin. You can see where the beach is on the upper left, and then the 3 rectangles are where those cages are, and that's the area we want to clean and plant. Now that's a shallow shelf. We believe that once we get planting going, it will also be a great place for the students to go, because it's shallow enough that they can go out there and plant their grass there, since they've already planted just about everything else there is to plant. This is also a very important tourist region and a use place for the people in the community. People bring their children up there by boat to swim because it's shallow and they can get out of the boat and they can swim. A lot of the tour boats come up in there because there's Hunter Springs, Jurassic Springs, and House Springs, and a lot of the manatees come up there for warm water refuge, so it's an easy place for the tourists to get out and see the manatees. And we have kayakers. I mean, it's a heavily used area, and it should not be covered in Lingbia. So we're asking for your help today to help us restore this area and bring it back to the lush grass as it should be to match the rest of the bay. Kings Bay Restoration Project has been an incredibly successful partnership in our community for the last 8 years. It's involved citizens, residents, businesses, government. Everybody has pitched in. So we're asking you today to please help us continue our mission to restore and protect and maintain Kings Bay, especially in this critically important area in Hunter Springs Basin. Do you have any questions for me?
I have a comment and a question, but I'll let the board go first. Anything?
I just have a comment.
I think it sounds great.
Covered everything. You didn't leave any
No,
questions.
Well,
that was great.
That explains why I stumbled into a field of Lingbia right next to beautiful eelgrass. I was wondering about that, and
That's
I
fine.
did see the Lingbias in the eelgrass as well.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about the no-name storm decimating everything, just because I grew up on the river and I left well prior to that. But coots, you said we lost all the birds.
Yes,
I remember huge flocks of coots
Me
growing
too.
up. Are they ever coming back?
I just saw them 2 days ago.
Really?
I was so excited. You could tell because of their white bill.
Yep.
And I saw them over close to, where Warden Key is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's out close to where your dad used to live.
Yeah.
And there was
Goody still
probably,
does. Yeah.
yeah, there was probably 100 of them over there up close to those islands. So yeah, they're coming back. Once the grass is here, the coots are back.
And on those canals, did you do the canal behind my parents' house?
That one is next. Yes,
Okay.
that's the last end of the project right
It's
there.
the one that's bordered by Diane on one
Yes.
side and then the row of houses on the
They're
other.
maintaining that canal right now on the surface,
Uh-huh.
but they haven't gotten back there with the divers, but that is coming next.
Yeah, because I hadn't seen it get planted yet, but it looked like on that map that it was done. So
It does take about 3 years for everything to really get lush.
Yep.
So they say the first year it sleeps. The first year it sleeps, the second year it creeps, the third year it leaps.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
So at the end of that third year, you'll really be able to see a difference.
That's great. And my parents finally did get a power pole.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I was really.
I recommend
was
them for
pushing
everybody.
that and just went. Had to hear it from someone else, and then they got one. Parents never listen to their children. You know that.
Yeah, I know. I found that out too.
Anyway.
Mike.
So we are looking for a motion for funding or no? So go ahead.
A couple questions and or comments. John, this is also would be reimbursable, if it's approved, would be reimbursable, so it doesn't assist their cash flow concerns. Is that true?
well, that was going to be that was going to be after the board's. That was going to be my question about mechanics of should it get approved? How does that work? Because it sounded like it's like the money is there, but you got to have more money. Is that from the water management? So
Yes.
so how does that work? Are they willing to spend it because you have a contract for other money, or do you have to have is it cash in hand money?
They're asking us for a cash in hand, and that's the problem. You're a small nonprofit,
Right.
and we can't use DEP money
Mm-hmm.
to fund this project. So what we're trying to do is to get enough money from this organization
Mhm.
because we need that match.
Right.
And then once we get from both organizations, we'll be able to clean this area.
So I guess the question in terms of the mechanics to help you is the water management district, would they be agreeable to having, a signed MOU with the county for for the match to turn that money loose to do the first part?
I can ask them.
Yeah, I think that's really my only question about the mechanics on how to help you, because Mike's right. We don't generally, the word I always think is gift, but it's usually a reimbursement. There's some sort of process done, and then we can give you some money.
It happens fast. It doesn't take long
Yeah.
to go through $250,000.
No, I understand that, but
Yeah.
I'm just trying to, since I'm going to be the one putting together the paperwork,
Yeah.
I want to find out the best way to help you,
Yes.
and so that there aren't any hiccups. And that's
Okay.
so I think there's lots of ways to write it so that you the bar of achievement is low to get money, but it is a reimbursement. So that
Okay.
we could the idea is to recycle money. Like you do
Yes.
something and we give you a big check, and then you spend it and then you ask for it again. Like,
Yes.
That's
We can make that work.
okay. I think the question is will that suffice for water management to release their money to you so you can really get started?
I mean, we had a fundraiser last year. The community was very generous.
Yep.
We've got another one coming up in March. I mean, we work all the time
Yeah.
to try to raise money. So we can make it work.
Okay. No, yeah, that's just I
don't
want to help
know
you.
exactly off the top of my head how that's all going to work, but what's going to work?
Me either, but if it's approved, I'm sure we can figure it out as a way that everybody benefits and it's achievable. We don't want to. I'm not trying to put anybody behind an 8 ball or something where you can't hardly get to with the money. It's not
Yeah.
like that. This is I know Holly and I had a conversation the other day that most of the time our agencies are called destination marketing organizations. There's been a shift in the overall industry that it's moving into management as well, and that certainly fits into this category of the product. If you don't have the product, then you can't have the people. And so we've been very blessed so far, and so yeah, that's kind of where there's a little bit of shift in terms of that, I think, overall. So, but yeah, that was my question with Mike. It was the mechanic of
It was
how do we help?
timing, Yeah, because
Yeah.
if we're cash reimbursable, then that's cash reimbursable. Neither helps you on a cash flow perspective, unless you're able
We'll
to
figure it
chunk
out.
Yeah, and I'm willing to help talk to them if necessary to whatever it is, so we can, if it goes forward, we'll gladly help.
Okay. Oh, it's going forward. They've already
Well, I meant our
approved.
money.
Oh, your money. Okay.
I'm sure it's going forward on your
Yeah,
side, but
that part's
I'm more
going forward,
concerned about
yeah.
helping us from this side.
Yes. Okay.
And then the other question is, when are you looking to do the Hunter Spring Basin area?
We're ready right now. At the end of manatee season, April 1st, it opens, and we've got the ability to do it. The contract with Swift Mud can be signed by then, and we've got everything ready to go.
Okay, and that's actually part of a concern on my part, and the reason being is concurrent with that, Swift Mud is doing the effort outside at Three Sisters. So you've got Three Sisters closed, you have the canal closed. There's some companies that are already starting to scream at the city about potential impacts this year because of closures and work efforts. So, is there an impact if there's work going on in another major area concurrently?
They don't have to close this area to do the work. They can
Okay.
vacuum it. They've got the hoses. They'll have a barge out there. I mean, they've done all the other areas and haven't closed down anything.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not a concern.
it's the enjoyment and relaxation side too. But okay.
Yeah.
I just know some of especially the kayak companies, paddle companies, have approached the city expressing concerns about the impact this summer with the Swift Mud efforts. And are we compounding or exacerbating that problem potentially?
Well, that brings up a really good question. How long will it take to vacuum the Hunter Springs base and the Lingby area?
I don't have an actual timeline, but I know it doesn't take them too long to get that done. 3/4 of an acre is not much of an area compared to the 92 they've already done. And we've had to
But we're not
stop in
dealing with-
between.
At least I'm personally not dealing with any scale here. Are we talking 3 weeks, 3 months, 6 months?
I would,
What's the scale of it?
it would be a total guess on my part for exactly how long it would take them to do
I'm
it.
not looking for exact, just
Okay.
a swap map.
I would say probably 3 to 6 months is fair.
Okay.
Yeah, and that would get the vacuuming done. And the planting doesn't take long at all.
Right.
They put those divers in there, and they put the plants in, and they set the cages. If we bring the kids out there, that would be the end of May. Let those kids plant. So that's about the time frame I think would be reasonable.
So April and May, they'd be vacuuming, and you said maybe three to 6 months total, so they're starting to plant behind the vacuuming?
Yes, and actually, our goal is to get as much as we can done by the centennial anniversary. So we're pushing everybody in Sea and Shoreline to say, get everything done. We want it. And they
That's
said they're going to
early
make
July?
it. That's July 3rd,
Yeah.
2023. Yeah. It's like burned in my brain.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Is everybody ready? Yes? Yep. All right. Motion by Dr. Desai, second by Jackie Hepner. Any public comment? Any further board discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you all so much
Thank you,
for
Lisa.
making this possible.
All right.
Great presentation.
Good. Oh, that's different. So, at this point, we'll have Brittany Girton from Hayworth PR will give you an update of where we've been last year and where we've been the first quarter of this year. So,
Thank you, gentlemen.
yep, just drive with that.
Very much. Good morning. I was last here in October and I was like, man, almost 4 months. How did that go by so quickly? So lovely to see you all again. Again, my name's Brittany Girton. I work with Hayworth Public Relations. If you haven't heard of us before, which hopefully you have, we have been in business more than 20 years. Kevin and Maria Hayworth are the founders and co-owners and have more than 40 years of experience in the travel and hospitality industry specifically. I've now been with them going on about 1.5 years, almost 2 years. So had the pleasure to work with the Discover Crystal River team as the account manager for public relations about the past 2 years now. So just to kind of recap a little bit about last year, I know, of course, most people are aware the fiscal year started October 1, 2022. So we are now in fiscal year 23. However, looking back, and I think this skipped a little bit ahead, so. We'll run with it. So John, just a note, I think the second presentation with the fiscal year 22 numbers, this is the first draft. So I can share a updated document that will have fiscal year 23, but I can certainly speak to them in the meantime. So in fiscal year 22, again, October of 2021 to September of 2022, we really focused on just getting back into the swing of things with travel writers, influencers. Of course, we saw a strong resurge of travel, and we certainly saw that same increased demand with travel writers. People just wanting to get back to destinations, experience things firsthand, and be able to curate that firsthand storytelling opportunity. We also were really focused on getting back into some of those key flight markets. Again, with travel opening back up, we wanted to get back on the radars as people started to make decisions about where they were going to travel, especially in Florida. As many of you are probably aware, Florida has just seen such an incredible increase and is one of the top places in the entire world for travel over the course of the past 2 years. And we of course focused it back on the flight markets. And then of course, just kind of trying to get into some of those niche demographics, specifically targeting fishing publications or specifically targeting an outdoors influencer. Last year in fiscal year 22, we saw upwards of 1 billion impressions. So certainly reached a great benchmark there. And then I always like to tout these facts as well, but there were 2 million views. So impressions are wonderful. It's possible that many people read the article. However, we know for a fact 2 million views were had on these online or print articles as well. So that's people's eyeballs actually on the content specifically about Crystal River. We were also excited to have over 300 mentions. So Crystal River and its business partners were mentioned in online, print, or social media coverage, or TV coverage, or radio more than 300 times in one fiscal year. So moving on to the slide in front of you, we are now in fiscal year 23 and officially Q1 is behind us. So September of 2022 to December of 2022, we wanted to start the year with a strong manatee season. We, as Safe Crystal River alluded, many visitors come to the destination specifically to do that bucket list activity. Thanks to TripAdvisor, just so everybody knows, swimming with manatees was actually ranked a top 10 bucket list activity in the world by TripAdvisor readers. And so, this is something we really wanted to start the year strong with. Some of the tactics that we employed specifically included a manatee season fact sheet. This might sound pretty simple, gathering information, putting out the facts, but the cause was greater with the incredible restoration efforts, with being named a bucket list activity by such a great publication. We wanted the entire community to help us sing this wonderful song. So that manatee season fact sheet was an effort to work with Florida Fish and Wildlife, Save Crystal River, Homosassa River Restoration Project, as well as all of our business partners to promote, again, the story of how do you engage with them? Where can you see them? How do you have manatee manners? What is the conservation story? How is the community banded together? So that's something that we not only shared with media, but we share with every writer, influencer, anyone that visits, so that they understand the whole big picture. And we also shared it on the partner newsletter so that, again, every partner that works with the VCB can all be singing the same lovely song. Additionally, we, again, just kind of focusing on those two narratives, conservation and a bucket list activity. You're not going to go anywhere else and experience what you can experience right here in Crystal River. We also found ways to tie in community events. So for instance, our first big media group of the year focused around the Manatee Festival that happened in downtown Crystal River. So not only can you see them, but this whole community loves them so much that you can experience them even in downtown. So just kind of trying to weave in all the different narratives that tie into the different manatee angles, if you will. And of course, I'm sure you've heard about the wonderful augmented reality. So this fact sheet, this strong start to the season, this will carry us throughout the entire fiscal year. So it really set us up for a strong foundation to tell those stories this year. We are also really just continuing to drive awareness specifically, and also interest in key flight markets with outdoor enthusiasts, with adventure travelers. And so that specifically is kind of being seen. For instance, we just hosted Atlanta Magazine last weekend. So again, a key flight market for us. And he was very interested in helping tell that conservation story as well as what to do when you visit. So that's an example of trying to really be smart and be strategic with the writers that we host. Again, we're typically working with 8 to 10 different businesses when we build each writer itinerary. So a lot of moving parts, a lot of collaboration in terms of maximizing that budget. So just continuing to try to increase awareness. In the industry, we're certainly still seeing the strong demand for travel. People are planning, they're planning shorter windows, but they're still planning. So just trying to be where, be in the places that they're looking for inspo, reading different articles. So additionally, some of the other markets we've worked with this year already, Orlando, DC, and New York. So again, just trying to be really smart with who we partner with. We are broadening the stories in Citrus County as well. Of course, the manatees are wonderful and you can experience them throughout Crystal River and Homosassa, but there's a lot to offer in Inverness and Floral City as well. And so we're actually hosting our first, we call it in the industry a FAM, a familiarization tour, where we'll bring in 4 to 6 media. And we're going to be focusing on the Strawberry Festival and cycling, as well as some of the other fun things to do in downtown Inverness. So just an example of how we're trying to spread the love, if you will, work with partners all over the county. And actually, the Elvis Follow That Dream tie-in and his birthday and, the movie that came out has allowed us to really, what we call in the industry, like story jacking. We're like, oh, you want to talk about Elvis? Well, let me tell you about Inverness. So that was a good opportunity to tie in. So far in this fiscal year, we have really astonishing results. Specifically, MSN Travel has started to pick up their online content syndication. So there's a online publication called 365 Atlanta Traveler. They're on our media list. It's a relationship that Hayworth has, and so they receive information about Crystal River. They've published 2 articles this year. In between October and December of 2022, and MSN picked both of those up. So that immediately, those numbers are pretty strong to be the start of the year, and a little intimidating as I have to continuously compete with ourselves, if you will. But we are very excited. It's been a wonderful start to the year. You'll notice, these impressions and views are climbing to reach the numbers we had in all of fiscal year 22. So just excited. Again, the industry they're telling stories, they're writing content, new stuff online every day. I also wanted to mention the engagements. Within Hayworth PR, we look at engagements as a very positive sign. Again, not only are we trying to promote awareness, but we want to move the needle with intent to travel. So it's great if someone reads about us, but if they forget about us after they've read the article, did it really move the needle? When you look at engagements, specifically in online articles and social media, you can see that people are actually paying attention. And again, they have intent. They've pressed a button, they've saved that post, they've bookmarked the article. So they intend to learn more and potentially visit. So we look at that as a very positive metric that we pay very close attention to. Additionally, we're seeing some great coverage so far. Again, I mentioned that we had a FAM for manatee season, so we were thrilled. We were able to bring in a writer with Yahoo, so that will be a national, international article that we'll publish online, as well as Orlando Magazine, and then 2 influencer accounts. One is Bucket List Journeys. These are incredible recaps of truly bucket list experiences around the world, as well as stays and getaways. So this happened in January around the Manatee Festival, and just very excited to get such top tier publications, as well as a key market, the outdoor adventure traveler. We really checked off a few things on our list. And then in individual visits, we were able to host Dive Planet, which is a wonderful publication specifically about scuba diving, snorkeling, etc. That was almost a 4 or 5 page print spread. So that was really exciting way to start the year. And upcoming, and actually I apologize, when I wrote this, it was planning, but Atlanta Magazine was here last week. We have the National Park Travelers, which is a Instagram account with upwards of 100,000 followers and solely visiting national parks, outdoor retreats, campsites, etc. Excited to have them in. And then Tabitha Blue, she's a mom blogger, and she visited us in 2022 to go on a Galentine's fishing and manatee fam. She is now interested in going to be coming back to visit Inverness for a girlfriend's getaway. So again, just leveraging the relationships we have and these media visits, they're not transactional, they are relational. We share releases afterwards. For instance, there's a outdoorsy diva, Lauren Gay influencer, who's already been sharing stuff this year from her visit last year, because manatee season comes around once a year. So just on a good trek so far. I apologize. One other thing I wanted to mention is we're specifically trying, again, with Inverness, we're really trying to find a bass fisherman with his own boat to get him to Inverness. So that's like a specific example of, one of the outreach proactive strategies that we're looking at. As well as hosting media, we help curate releases and blogs. So this year we wanted to increase the amount of press releases we're distributing so that we stay on media's radar throughout the year versus just during manatee season and scalloping. One of the ways we've done that is to create what we call mini blogs that have recaps and roundups of seasonal events. So we're actually getting ready to prepare the spring seasonal events. But again, just more top of mind. There's so many Tampa, Orlando, Florida calendars, things like that. So just trying to make sure those events get on the calendars, and people, if they're thinking about visiting, an event's a great reason to make that trip. And I'll just kind of leave you with a few thoughts here. Of course, Jody, I know she's listening. She told me she's listening. I'm here to assist Jody throughout her maternity leave. We are very excited for the opportunity to increase the amount of work that we do with Crystal River and to help. It's fantastic working with Jody and Terry, John, and the team. So, I hope to do her proud and she can relax and just enjoy that new little love. But we are highly encouraging partners just to be on the lookout. The email might come from me, the call might come from me. So, just if you have any questions, ask John, ask Terry. This is legitimate. They are legitimate requests. I'm not just, an industry scammer, if you will. So just trying to make sure that partners, continue working with us throughout Jody's maternity leave. I also specifically wanted to mention the packages and special events little bullet here. There's a wonderful place on the website where you can upload your different events and discounts and deals. And those, I check them, that landing page frequently. And if there's enough offers, that's a great release right there. Hey, spring discounts, come stay in Crystal River. So that's something that I think partners could be doing if applicable. That would certainly help the PR efforts. But other than that, just please continue working with us. And thanks everyone, and especially the business communities, for the support of their hosted press visits. So I think that covers our update. And if you have any questions, happy to answer. And I just wanted to say, Ms. Davis, I have your card. It's still on my desk as we're now kind of gearing up for April, May, spring. I want to connect with you about the flight tourism opportunity as well. So
Awesome. Thank you. That would be
Yes.
great. It's actually a better time to fly when it's not in the middle of the summer because those airplanes are not air conditioned.
Well, I was hoping maybe we could try to kind of set it up, if you will, in this off season. And that way, as we even maybe go into fiscal year 24, we have our step and repeat formula for hosting, if you will.
Cool.
But were there any other questions or? All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Super. Thank you.
And I'll just say a big thank you to Brittany for all of her help leading into maternity leave and things like that. I really appreciate all that she has done. And I haven't had the chance to share with her that at our last meeting, we did get approve that funding for Brandon Branch. So we will have a bass fishing fam available to us. It'll be so great.
I'll
Yes,
chat with you
everything
later today,
wanted.
Jody. Wonderful. Thank
Hi, Jody.
Great. So update. So, Mike, did Sydney go out with you, with your group, for Sydney from the Tempest? I met with him and I thought he said both Crystal River, like kayak and water sports. I couldn't remember. So Sydney, the guy that does our Tempest ad program. It must have been the kayak then. I couldn't.
No, I didn't mean to.
Okay, he mentioned both of them and I got confused. But anyways, so
Yeah, Abramson?
yes, right.
No,
Okay.
I haven't met him in person.
Okay, so he is going to make a presentation next month. We were going to about the success of the program, and he's in town right now, and we kind of misunderstood each other. I thought he was going to be available for here, and he didn't know I meant that. So, anyways, I'm going to let him present next week. But I bring that up because we were talking about the experience. I think Safe Crystal River mentioned it. His first experience with a manatee was yesterday swimming with them. And I mean, so the first 20 minutes that we were sitting together last night, it was all about that and just how floored he was. So, and it was late in the day, and it was basically him and a bunch of manatees. So it was a pretty good day for him. But the program's doing great, and I don't want to steal his thunder. So next month he'll give you an update. So we'll have almost 6 months of the program to show where we're at, which has been a benefit for the partners. But all right, financials. So finally, I fixed the glitch with STR. It was some paperwork issues, but we have the back issues, so we can put those up. But this is up to date, and I did my best to make sure I had the right columns. So I hope I did. But as you can see, occupancy is down a little bit for us, but our money is up. So I think if we have to make that trade, that sounds like a good one. And you can see there's pretty strong all the way through our competitive set, and we've shrunk our set a little bit to be more like counties. Sumter, Pasco, Hernando. There's a couple other ones, but that's the ones that are more. Remember, previously we had Jacksonville and a couple other things in there in Orlando. just not quite the right competitive set. So we were 58.6 this last cycle, and 61.3 the last in 21. But like I said, we're up in ADR, up in RevPAR. So that's pretty successful. And then for the year, this is where we're at. Up almost 6% in occupancy and $15 in ADR. So that shows that's why we knocked it out of the park again, year over year in terms of our revenue. More people, more money. So you see that, and you see everybody else didn't have quite that level of success. But you can see, except for the state, you can see the state killed it, which is good for us. I made some notes from a press release that Visit Florida sent out. So the first quarter of the year, 35 million people came to the state, which is up almost 7% over last year. They're getting, for all their marketing dollars, it's a $3.27 return. And you remember that like we did with Conversant, where they marked the return on advertising spend. That was a couple of them. We had like 11-1 on that particular campaign. So this is their overall state marketing. You're getting $3 return on advertising spend. And the biggest news, I think, is that the governor is pushing to give them $100 million this year, as opposed to 50 where they've been for the last few years. We'll see if that holds. It may be a bargaining chip. I don't know. I hope not. I hope it is a strong lean. The press release made it sound like it, where he stated it being the #1 industry in the state. That would be wonderful for Visit Florida to give them that help. I also passed out this also from Visit Florida, the economic impact sheet. That's from Rockford Analytics, and so the state bought it, and then you can give everybody their county numbers. We can see overall. I mean, it's the total business spend is almost 275 million, which is significant. And the key one, I think, really is the direct impact is 193 million. That's an easier number for me to grasp. I came in, I gave you some money, and you gave me a product, and that was it. There's not that next step of it filtering down to the any kind of multipliers or anything like that. That it always gets a little fuzzy math when we start adding that. But it looks great to say 275 million, but I conservatively I prefer the direct dollar, which is still a significant number, that we're having nearly $200 million from the tourism industry left in our community. So as we're starting to get into budget season a little bit, that kind of brings up a topic on this in terms of what we want from research. So we have the Voyage platform that comes with the Madden thing, where we have points of interest and we can track our advertising and things like that. There's a number of opportunities like this, like from analytic companies, that'll give you more numbers than feeling. Some of the stuff we get from research data is like, percentage of people that are interested in an activity, as well as the numbers. I don't know. I'd like to kind of get a gauge of where you stand, because that contract's going to be up at the end of this fiscal year. That's why I bring it up, because I got a note from the contracts department saying, we know the Madden one was up, and then the research one's up. Does the board want to stay versus that? Do you want to see other opportunities where it could be just hard numbers, just the math of impact? I don't know what's best. So I'd like maybe some ideas or some thoughts from the board, which direction to move forward, because we certainly can renew the contract. We can do the paperwork and get that done, or we could explore something where it's just, there's lots of those things. There's like Visa View, and there's this company, and there's Destination Analytics. There's a bunch of them that if you just want data, just spend data. Like these, we think this how much money was dropped into the community. So I don't know where we've had. Well, I gave Save Crystal River 10 years worth of sheets yesterday. And that's where their 52% came and their 2 billion. That's all the research data stuff. I gave them all those files yesterday. So
Does staff have a preference or recommendation?
there might be a way to save some money if we went a format where it's just the numbers, because they're pulling it from similar data things, but there's not maybe there's less people time involved in it. I think we know what our major attractions are by now. So is it what's going to be most helpful in making some other decisions in terms of I think from the Madden information, we know where we can determine where they're coming from, where there's pockets of opportunity, as they've seen in some of the slideshows, where also New York is 100% growth in web traffic. Philadelphia, same thing. Those type of cities for opportunities. So I'm happy to go find out and see what it would cost to get a full report from this company or some of the other ones. If then we can bring that back and look at it. I mean, we have a few months until the contract's up, but I don't know what do you think would be more helpful, I guess, is
Board, come back with a recommendation.
okay. But so because if we buy something like this, then we can kick it to Madden to put it in something that's digestible as well. Because some of these things, I mean, when I say numbers, there's a lot of numbers, and they're valuable. But in terms of something that is easily understood, like I always joke about the USA Today, all their graphs are really easy to understand. Drilling it down into that so that their key wins are visible. We do have the power with Madden or what other agents if they don't win this spring. I don't know, but
Well, time is money. It's time. It's either time for your staff, or it's money for Madden, or it's money for the way the research is presented to us. Correct.
Right. But the part of where I say kick it to Madden, because we already pay them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a part of the contract. I mean, and if it's a matter of telling them what things I think we want to see out of the pile of data, and then that pile of data can get plugged into to the Voyage system, so that's even more powerful. So
Okay.
I don't believe it's a one of. There's lots of ways to filter that in there, because we already have the STR data goes in there, the key data from which is the vacation rental numbers that we didn't have previously. They use NEAR, which I think that's the geolocation. That's how we track the points of interest. So, hard numbers like this is what I think is missing, because I get pitched. There's a competitor called Zartico, and they do a lot of cool stuff. But one of the difference between their system and Voyage is the money. They've got a way to show you some spins all in one platform. So I guess that's a question. I mean, I think Research Data does a good job, but can we get the same thing for less and then turn it into something else? That's kind of what I'm looking at. I don't know yet. I know when I looked at this originally, Visit Florida did something, and it was like $8,000 or $9,000 to get the full report for your community. I think maybe that was a deal. Maybe list price is $12,000, but that's still less than half of what the contract for RDS is.
Right.
So I'll work on that, and we'll bring that back. I'll do my best to bring it back next month. So that was just on the top of my head since this just came out this week. So that's why it wasn't in the packet. Okay. Back to more numbers. So we're winning still. It's just it's not quite the same rate, but as Michael talked about, that being 1% above the best year ever is still a record. So, and I always think it's not completely sustainable to keep having those double-digit wins, but you can see we're still ahead of the best year ever by 7.5% through the first three checks, which is pretty remarkable. Is the math wrong?
Shouldn't we be showing for fiscal year revenue to date? Shouldn't that be 22, 23?
Probably. It is. It's just I put the wrong year. That is the correct. The money is correct. It should be
So
December of
562
22 and December of 23. You're correct. It's just the wrong year.
Yeah,
So
all the dates are all lagged.
Yeah.
Okay, but
All money is correct.
Everything that says 21 should say 22.
Yes,
and
I missed
everything
that.
says 22 should say 23.
I was trying to
Okay.
trying to get the numbers in and the hard numbers, the math.
Please, for the love of God, it's already confusing enough when
I
you're
know.
in fiscal years.
I know. I get it. Yeah, I've talked about that before. Trying to the lag on the money coming in and trying to create a chart that shows it. Yeah, I've quit
Because
because
22 fiscal year is closed.
correct.
So-
I will fix it.
We hope.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is 23. That it's 22, 23.
Okay.
The big numbers are correct. The years are off by one. So add one to all year numbers.
Okay.
And we'll fix that. I'll fix that for next month. I missed that. So the capital reserve number, I think you may have looked in the packet, and there's a budget number, and then this is what we've done is unallocated cash. So there's $500,000 that's on hold for Crystal River. There's $400,000 on hold for the bike path.
Bike path, are you talking about?
Early on there was $400,000 set aside.
Are you talking about Fort Allen?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is pretty much dead.
So it's still set aside until the board, until we make we make a recommendation to the county commission to release the money. They voted to put it aside for that, so it stays as that line item until the board releases it back.
Oh,
Can we make that motion now, or does it need to be an agenda item?
to release it, it probably ought to be an agenda item. I need to make sure it's dead, but that's,
I mean, it
My
still needs to
understanding.
go to the commissioners, but from us as a recommendation to release it, and then the BOCC can take it from there.
did you watch the meeting yesterday?
I didn't.
Yeah, because Kennard's coming for money from us
For the boat?
for the pier in Ozello.
Well, okay.
Well, 'cause I'm willing to make a motion that we ask the BOCC to release that $400,000.
So I
Then
think
they can move it on
The
the
pier
agenda.
is a tenth of that, so that's.
it's like 40.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, we have that money.
Right.
That's a bit. So I think if you made a motion, I think we could do it. Would be to have staff see what the process is to release that money.
Yeah,
Or
because I
is
mean,
it
I,
just a request? Do you need
Yeah,
a
right.
motion?
Yeah, no, I think I get the idea. I can talk to legal and see where we're at, if what the process is, if so then we could bring it back as an agenda item to say we want to make the formal recommendation to the board that this project doesn't seem to be moving forward. We'd like to put it back into the coffers so we could do other projects, because there's some things like at the strategic plan. There were a couple of things mentioned at the workshop. There was pickleball courts or something at the barge canal. I talked to the parks director, and they have some money for capital improvements. So our demographic fits that type of sports complex, we could do something pretty nice, you know. And as an example, which
Right.
at a lower cost than say like a ballpark quad or more type thing. It's hard court. There's less maintenance. You build a nice thing
Well,
in
we
the middle.
have park impact fees. too.
Correct. That's what Francine was saying, that
Yeah.
there is some money. So we would, as the board likes to do, we would match instead of pay for. You know, we would augment a project that could come forward. So I had an initial conversation with her about that. That, you know, that's something that's, I like to see a formal plan of it's going to cost this much and we'd like this, you know, that sort of thing. If
Do you and Francine have a park in mind?
I asked her where there's spots. I asked her where do we have land? Where does it make sense? So I think she mentioned something. There's Bicentennial. I think there was some area in Homosassa. It's so there are some opportunities.
Central Ridge?
Yep, there are some places that there's enough land.
I'd really like to see that in Beverly Hills Park.
Well, that's we're going to cover a
I'm
pool.
channeling Schleiball right
Yeah,
now.
we're going to cover a pool. We have some cement to work with, but so that's
Foundation.
but yeah, right. They're going to do that for us. But there are some things. It's not like the county would have to go acquire space to do this. That they would be on existing stuff, so that helps keep the cost down too. So.
Well, you know, I love the idea of the Fort Island bike path in concept.
Yeah, it's a
But
big ticket.
Holy moly.
It's a big ticket.
The cost to put that in, and that's one of those things that if, you know, at some point we're going to have to theoretically rebuild that road. So,
Yeah, and I don't know if they counted that money as being spent when it was approved to do that section from the water towards 19. I don't know if they included the TDC money in that or not. I don't remember for sure. So maybe it is already allocated.
I do think you have to have a death wish to try to bike it right now. But
Correct. And we don't talk about it. Even though it says trail, we really don't talk
No.
about that as an option for
No.
cyclists, because it's not safe for people to know what they're doing. You know, like the road bike people that do it every day, it's certainly not safe for people that are piddling around on a bike. So yeah, we don't even talk about that as an option to ride a bike.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Okay.
So at this point, this is Alyssa's realm, and we'll let her give you an update. Yeah, you can do it from there. You can do it from where you want.
Oh, I'll do it from here then.
I just like to stand up every once in a while.
Hi, my name's Alyssa, and I head up social media for Discover Crystal River. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what happened in the last month with our accounts. We had I think a very good month. So we're going to look at Facebook first. Our best post was for the Manatee Festival, which makes sense. And we reached over 83,000 people. We had a 535 likes, and that was a good little post, 7,000 engagements. But I do want to mention another post for Pepper Tree Pottery in Homosassa. I went there, took some photos, and did a nice write-up on them. And we actually had more likes on that, but less reach. So that's why I chose the Manatee Festival post to be like our top post. But what was nice about that post was Angie, the owner, she actually emailed me and thanked us for the nice posts that we gave them. And she said that they were getting a lot of new customers, and it was directly because they saw it on our Facebook page. So that was nice to get positive direct feedback. So then we'll move on to, and we'll talk about Facebook later because there's other important stuff there. So then our fishing page, you know, Captain Tony is basically the star of our page, and his fishing reports always do better than anything else that I post on there. And then on Instagram, we had a nice video that one of the drone shot of Three Sisters. It started out with with like a really far out shot of like the planet, and then it zoomed in to Three Sisters, and it was quite cool. That did quite well, over 20,000 views. And we did really well with gaining followers this month. And what I did notice was that and again, I can't guarantee that this will happen every month, but this month we garnered more followers than a lot of our competitors. So where they weren't gaining, and because I did look, and I have to look because I have to fill in these numbers, some of our competitors didn't really gain anything, or they'd gain 100, and we on Instagram we gained 662 new followers, which is quite good, and it's up 88.6%. So that was nice to see. So we're doing well in the follower comparisons. For our insights, our Instagram page did well. Everything is up. We had better content interaction, accounts reached, and accounts engaged. So that was nice. So we'll go back to Facebook. Now this is where our numbers are really elevated, and they're elevated due to a live feed that I did from Three Sisters on December 24th. It was the very, very cold day. It was 26 degrees at Three Sisters when I got there, which meant, I dubbed it Manatee Madness because there were so many manatees in the springs, and that live feed is still garnering views, and we're over 2 million on that one live feed. So, and all positive, and it just really, really did well. And that just bumped everything up on Facebook. As you can see, accounts reached 366% up. And also our page visits 175% up, and new followers we gained almost 2,100 followers, and that's up 350%. So yeah, good numbers for this past month. And I just want to just mention, I'm out and about. Like I go in the field a lot because I'm taking photos and videos and creating content. And one of the places that I visited was Crystal Manatee Hotel. It's a property that has just been refurbished quite beautifully. I got a tour of it, and the gentleman who owns it was very kind. And he mentioned, and I didn't know this, but I'll talk to Brittany about it. He mentioned that Manatee Paddle and Explorda, they give tourists who stay in that hotel 10% off. So that is something that maybe you'd want to know about. So I can keep track of those things and contact Brittany, and we can spread. Thanks for mentioning it. And then we can spread that information around. I think that.
Great.
You have any questions?
And I'd add, it's been wonderful collaborating because, we host these influencers, but if we miss the opportunity to share their stories or, to maximize the post, so it's been wonderful. Thank you so much for collaborating on the PR part of social media too.
Yeah, what Brittany's talking about is she'll share with me stories or reels that are influencers who have visited here. They'll create, right, by seeing all the manatees and different restaurants and stuff. And so she's nice enough to send them to our account. Then I look at them, and I would say most of them I try to share. And they're great. They're great content, and they, yeah.
Even like Coastal Living, for instance, they got the original content from us, posted it to theirs, that we can share theirs, they share ours, so it's just kind of that.
It's good, yeah. So thank you for that, Brittany. I think that's it. If you have any questions.
Good job. No, good as always.
Yeah, I guess we can kind of skip over
FAM tours because Brittany talked about a lot of these. So,
All right.
all right, sales and marketing. There's my booth. That's what I've been doing the last 6 weeks. Living behind that
Did you
table.
skip me, Terry?
Wait.
Oh wait,
Jody.
Jody,
from
what's up?
Voice from Beyond.
Did you skip me?
Well, we kind of
What is it?
Go
No,
ahead.
we didn't skip you. But
We thought Brittany
I
kind of
wasn't sure
covered it.
where you were going to chime in, honestly.
Oh yeah, if we there's a couple that I want to mention real
Okay.
quick, and there's a video I want to show as well.
All right.
So sorry. The RV There Yet crew is in town currently, which is great, and Alyssa was able to join them yesterday for a horseback riding trip through the Withlacoochee State Forest, which is something that we've been trying to work on highlighting since I started here at the VCB. So it's great that we've got Reimar on board to be kind of our initiating stable for that to become something that we can start advertising, because it's a really unique opportunity here, especially since the Tillis Hill there at the Withlacoochee State Forest, where they're staying, has facilities for horse boarding. So it's a really cool equestrian opportunity, and being so close to Ocala, it's something we wanted to highlight. And then, yeah, as far as the rest of our FAM trips that are coming up, Brittany did cover those, so we can go on to the next page there. And Brittany shared her full report, but the Color Earth is a film crew that we bring in every so often. The last time they were here to do manatee footage and photography was 2020. They're planning on coming back here for scalloping season, so that'll be another great opportunity. And if you want to go ahead and click that video link, we can see kind of the reel that they put together for their trip. I think it might be on mute, Christina.
No, we can hear it.
Oh, okay. Right. So they that was what they shot and edited and put together, and we've also got the raw footage as well as photography, which that photo that you see on the screen there is one of them from that shoot. So that's just a nice little refresh of our manatee content for the year. So that's always great. And then the last thing that I wanted to highlight for you guys is just kind of a sneak peek into the backside of Influence Kit. So I'll share my screen with you real quick. And so as you see here, Influence Kit just rolled
Hang on,
out
Jody,
a
we
new
don't-
feature.
We don't see it, Jody.
Hang
Hold on
on,
one
we got
second.
There we go.
Okay, got it. There we go.
Awesome. Influence Kit just rolled out a new feature that we didn't even know we were going to have when we purchased the subscription. So this is great. Added benefit for us is it will keep track of our own social channels in a way that we don't have to input any of the information ourselves. So it saves us a lot of time and effort here. And so it gives you just this great overview of all of the different social media channels that we're using on a regular basis. And so I just wanted to show you guys another little added benefit of Influence Kit that we didn't know we were going to have in the first place.
Wow. Like infinity. It was like infinity for a minute.
Am I still sharing?
No, we're
No,
good.
you're good.
We're back to
Okay.
the presentation. All right.
Is that it?
Good. Yep.
Okay. All right. So anyway, just a little summary of what I've been doing and on this
One
page.
second before you go.
Oh,
I forgot
sorry.
something. So Mike, on the
I just-
yeah, sorry about that. I forgot I wanted to ask this question. So in that video, there was a couple of portions where the people in the water had fins on. Is that a problem? Do you think, like, if in that format, one of them was the photographer had the big,
Right, yeah, I
big
saw
heavy
that.
cam,
Yeah.
and then there's a brief thing of a person swimming fairly close, and there was just a little glimpse of the fin. I know that's not the norm.
Yeah, probably not ideal, but they weren't doing anything outrageous.
Okay.
They weren't, they weren't
No,
tipped it in, stirring up the bottom. So
Okay, I just wanted to make sure if we needed to ask
I-
them to trim it, or if you think I just don't want anybody all of a sudden have a stroke.
Meltdown.
yeah, and that may have been one of the guides because a couple of companies, the guides actually use noodles and have fins. That may have been a guide, but
I'm not sure. I just
nothing jumped out. That
Okay.
legs were going crazy.
okay, great. Then we don't have to go down that road. I just wanted to make sure. I knew that in the past has been an issue with some photography and things that we do. We don't want to show those folks that are in the fins and if they're nearby. Okay, I'm done for the moment. Terry, I'll wake you up.
Okay. Just one thing I did want to point out on this one slide that we did with this. I attended the Chicago Travel and Adventure Show. It's a series of shows they do: Chicago, Houston, Atlanta, Boston, New York. I think that's it. So we're trying it out this year with Chicago and then Atlanta again, and we'll do Atlanta in May. But Chicago is fantastic. It's a weekend consumer show. There were 1,500 travel trade people, 426 travel advisors, 60 media people. The whole show was attended by 16,000 people in a 2-day span. That was pretty good. We had a lot of attention there. So again, I think that's a really good thing for us to look at in other markets that we're drawing from. But and then attended the RV Super Show with a record attendance of almost 80,000 people. Mike was there, and it was nuts. We didn't even see each other. It was so busy. But then I wanted to talk about quickly a new marketing campaign that we want to participate in. It is through the Travel Channel. It's a 60-second video that'll air one time as part of a 5-minute series that they do. It's called Getaway Places. It'll be the week of March 6th, and it'll be shown between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. on the Travel Channel. Again, 60-second video to air 3 times, also on Bravo, Lifetime, and HLN as a TV commercial. In addition, we get the digital video file of media, full reusage rights, embedded coding for posting, rebroadcasting on our website, and an as-featured logo for our website as well. And the funding will be taken, we have the funding already in the media budget for Madden. So this whole opportunity was, why isn't it on here? 15,800 and change. I apologize. I don't have the exact number on here. That's my bad. But that's what we wanted to just let you guys know. That's what we decided to do with the chunk of the change that we have in the marketing budget already for Madden to utilize. And it's going to be a great program. Also, just wanted to speak real quick. We also are participating in a project with Hotel Beds, which is the Expedia of tour operators internationally and domestically. So buyers buy through Hotel Beds for their resellers to sell the travel agents and trades. So we're participating in that. It's going to focus on not just the UK and Germany, but also the domestic market, as well as we get an extra one for the commitment to the 6-month program. And it is, we're going to focus on Brazil and Latin America, which is one of the most up and coming markets that we have since China dropped off. So, yeah.
Okay. So that was supposed to be on this agenda, but legal said they didn't review it, and so.
Oh, I apologize. I thought it was on.
No, unfortunately. Yeah, which it's one of my ongoing things is it's advertising, and it should just go, right? It's not, it's, you know, that window doesn't need a whole lot of review. You know, the Save Crystal River, absolutely. We got to make sure that all those things, but when we're buying an advertising thing, it doesn't need that level of scrutiny. So I'm working with them on that because it was I will admit it was late on getting that on, but so what we'll probably do next month is
BOCC legal?
yes,
So Denise's.
correct,
department.
yeah. So yeah, as I said, we have someone different than in the past reviewing our stuff. So I'm still
Training them?
yes. There we go. Haggling, you know, like what. However, some things. Yes, I realize there's a window of time for things, and so that will bring us to a couple of things.
So are we gonna lose this opportunity then, or?
No, we have funds available that are not being used currently that will be used. So we'll just ask for that money to be put back into our operational budget from the special projects for so we can move forward. So yes, there would be the potential that we would lose it if we don't do it this way, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. Now I remember. I lost my train of thoughts for a minute because I started thinking about legal. They kicked something else out. The grants, right? I was bringing back our grant process. I have been racking my brain to figure out a way to increase our flexibility that I found out we didn't have. And I can't find one yet.
John, hang on just a second.
Yes.
Are we done with this portion?
Yes.
Okay, so we're not taking a vote on this?
No, this is already done.
Okay.
This is FYI because it
Okay.
was existing money.
Okay.
Within our media plan,
Mhm.
we have a creative line,
Okay.
and that's what that
And
is.
what was the cost on that?
15 and change
Okay,
is what Terry's at.
15,800 and
Something, yeah.
okay.
But we don't. This was just I wanted her to share that we're doing this thing, so if somebody sees it, they go, "Oh yeah, I remember that."
Okay.
I remember talking
I
about
just
that.
closed the door in my brain. Carry
Okay,
on.
great.
Next room.
Next room. Yes, this is a crowded room today. So
John,
Yes, sir.
go ahead.
Oh, no, you have a question?
No.
Okay.
I'm bringing you back.
Oh, thank you for snapping me back. Yeah, I know. I know that this room is really crowded today, and I'm having trouble keeping them in line. So I retooled the two main grants. Like we had talked about, I cleaned up some of the language that makes it confusing, bumped up some of the price ranges to make it better for more inviting, so that they could do the. However, I was told that because I didn't have that other sheet, the flexibility page, let's call it, that it has to be the whole program. So my problem is we'll use the Inverness program as an example. I don't know how yet to set that aside from things that already happened, right? Because legal's already said that's an event. And I don't know, I need an objective bar that everybody could climb over that would say, okay, you can be outside the cycle. And I don't know what that is yet, because we have things that are multi-day events. We have there's got to be some type of room night component, and we already have that. The thing that sets it aside right now, I think, is the request number is different than what the grant allows or would be, is my estimation. So in thinking about this, there's a couple of ways we could go. To increase flexibility, we could do 2 cycles like we used to. We could do one at the beginning of the calendar year and one at the end of the fiscal year. So do a January, September sort of thing. We could do that. That way, if somebody shows up, we say, okay, you need to jump in the September cycle, or you need to jump in the January cycle. So that gives us some flexibility, and we eliminate the walk-ups. Like we have that, the only walk-up we get, it would be like Save Crystal River for a capital item, which would be easy to create. We'd eliminate any of the out-of-cycle events. So everybody goes through that. That's one way. That's the easiest way I can do, because like I said, I'm struggling to find that objective line that would separate an event from our event category. And I've been thinking, and I can't. I don't have it yet. I don't know. Maybe it'll come to me. I don't know. Maybe 3 a.m. some night I'll snap awake and I'll have it. But I don't know. So if there's anybody has some help, that would be great.
Point of clarification?
Yes.
Are you talking about potentially being interested in back to destination management and creating or supporting the product? We have capital projects.
Right.
And then we have advertising to put heads in beds. That's the easy part.
Yeah, that's the existing.
7,500, the whatever.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So are you talking about supporting actual events? So it's almost like it's not capital, but it's creating the event itself versus the marketing for it.
No, I'm thinking, my thought is that we keep it as is. But so if somebody shows up with an event that's in between, we have like, oh yeah, you showed up in May. We have this in September that you can put your thing in, you put your application in, because we already have a lag time.
So now we're talking about grant cycles.
Correct. So we want to do, we used to have 2. When I first got here, we had 2. And then we moved to 1, but we had flexibility, and now that's gone. So that's why we shifted it to 1, because we could take walk-ups essentially. But now it doesn't appear that that's without some sort of separate program that's where I'm stuck.
So we were allowed to have walk-ups for a while, but now legal is saying we can't?
Well, the example was when the first time when Steve came, he wanted to put that, he wanted a 7,500 or something out of cycle. And that's why we couldn't hear it, is because legal determined that it's an event. We have an event program, and it was closed, so we weren't allowed to move forward.
But that's something that we would have been able to see as a walk-up?
Previously.
Okay.
Previously, that's how we did it. Like
So
those things.
we went from 2 grant cycles to 1 grant cycle with the assumption that we could have 1 grant cycle
And
then allow walk-ups, but now
Right.
legal is saying we can't do walk-ups. So
What-
now
right.
we have to consider going back
it's
to
not
two
so
grand
much that
cycles?
we can't do the walk up. It's just the fact that if it's an event, they say we have a process, and if it's out of cycle, I'm sorry. That's what I got.
But tell me what kind of walk-up would be allowed that's not an event?
Straight advertising, like what Madden brings forward, like the
Got it.
DEI shoot or those kind of things. That
So
sort of
straight advertising
just a
is
straight
just
or
business
like
as usual.
like the
Yes.
thing we're talking about, the hotel beds. That's fine.
Yeah,
It's helping things in the community
it can't be walk-ups.
amplify it.
Got it.
Right. That's where, and like I said, I can't figure out how to help that group yet, other than add another cycle. Which, like I said,
What's the downside to that?
you have to do it twice a year. I mean, that's the board. The board
What's
has
the amplitude? Obviously, that's the
It's- we-
downside. What's the amplitude of the downside?
we average about 7 people a year. It's 7 or 8 grants. It's the same folks, really.
Yeah.
But if the upside is we might be able to help some more people because we have 2 rounds, and if they, oh shoot, I missed it, I'm done for a year. It's like, oh well, we got a chance to do it again. My event doesn't happen until after the window. I can make it through here.
So you're
And-
saying we have 7 or 8 people right now.
Pretty
May
much.
go up to 9 or 10, but it's going to be split in 2 cycles.
Correct.
So it would possibly expand the pool, but that doesn't sound like
It's not a
that
heavy
much
workload.
That doesn't sound like that much
It's just-
additional work if you're just splitting between 2 grants.
Yeah.
The same almost the same number.
Yeah, I think it achieves some of the things. It's not 100%, but it is better than what we have now.
Yeah.
And I think that could come back next month because those papers are done. They're in the queue. They just didn't get reviewed. And then when I did speak to her about it, she said, "Well, because you don't have that other piece, so I'll clean up and I'll make that one sheet just for capital, and then we should be good because we have the
Are
big
you
cap-
looking for a consensus or a vote?
No, we're getting close to my airing of grievances page of the program, and so this is so.
Where is that Festivus poll?
Yeah, I know. You think it was put away in December, but it's come back.
Hey Terry, Rod took it home.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to let you. I was looking for insight, but if it sounds like that the 2 cycle thing is not going to give anybody at the board heartburn, I can bring that forward and we can tie this up next month and we can tell people that they can start applying in April.
So you're looking for a consensus then?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'll
Anybody
do.
have a problem with that? Nope.
No,
All right.
it's not a lot, but it does.
You
It's the
have your
closest thing for
consensus.
some flexibility. Perfect. Okay, so grievances time. So Terry talked about her travel that she did, and I'm dealing with something at the at admin level on that. But one of the problems is the way the statute is written. There's hardly any money for. They call it subsistence, but I mean if you look at it, it's $36 a day is what we get for meal money if there are no meals connected to a conference or anything like that. So in my other thing that I'm dealing with, I've been pouring through all kinds of statutes, and there is a clause in which one is this? In the main state statute that governs travel, which is 112, and if you're having trouble sleeping, it's 112061. But it says the county could enact an ordinance to change this, and I haven't talked to anybody about this till today. in terms of this, I mean I only learned it because I'm doing all this digging. So it could be possible that we could create an ordinance for the VCB travel specifically, which would mirror the federal per diem, which would give us some greater flexibility to actually eat when we're on the road. So I will. I don't know what the temperature would be like because it would have to, obviously it's a BOCC thing to do the ordinance, but that's one of the grievances is that it's not a problem at a conference so much, but at a trade show it's bad, where there's not things provided for you, and you're in a city like Chicago or Palm Beach, where unless
There's
you
only so many times you can eat at McDonald's.
or Subway or right, and that's not right. That shouldn't be, and it shouldn't fall on the
Costs me money
employee.
to travel
It shouldn't.
out of my own pocket.
Right. It shouldn't. Look, if you go out to the bar, you're on your own.
Yeah.
But if you want to have a regular meal, there should be funding to cover a.
You don't have to convince me.
I know.
Do you have any idea how expensive it is to be a commissioner?
Yeah, I know. I know. I know. We had a brief conversation
Whole
about
bunch
that.
of the stuff I do is not covered. That comes out of my own pocket.
Correct.
So, I would certainly be in support of that. I would assume Steve Howard is even for the mainline BOCC, not VCB, he is a big proponent of continuing education, travel to
Yep.
conferences, everything. We are going to be massively scrutinized on money this year because people are hurting right now.
Yep.
And they do not want to hear us raising anything. That being said, it is not fair to employees to have to go into their own pocket for regular food
Yes, and I think
to
this
do
is
their job because, the problem is, of course, is that a lot of citizens that have not traveled for work
Mhm.
look at this as paid vacations.
correct.
I'm going to DC. Yeah.
Yeah.
They do, but
Yeah.
they do. You should see
They
my
do.
email box.
Oh, I
Yes.
know.
And I'm going to DC Friday and back Tuesday, and I'm going to be working my biscuits off. Like, I
Yep.
will never leave the convention hall.
Right.
And it's going to be a lot of long, boring conferences and committee meetings, but guess what? I'll bring money and information back home to Citrus, and
Right.
now it's turned into the commissioner airing of grievances. So,
Yeah.
you have my support for that.
All
We'll
right.
just have to see how
I will talk to Steve
navigates
and see
through.
where we can see, what the temperature is, and this is an instance where I think that the "we're different" card applies because there aren't any other departments that do what we do, which in turn leverages that return. We went up. The revenue numbers, we can show that the efforts.
you make money.
Correct. Look, the conference thing is, that's different, and a lot of our departments go to conferences to learn better practices, things like that. But then they bring back information. They're not bringing back money necessarily, like
You
our
guys
efforts
are,
do.
Yeah.
So
So you should be self-funding within VCB funds theoretically.
and I'm not asking
yours-
I'm not asking to take the P card and go,
Pig
buy
wild
whatever.
hog crazy. Yeah.
Just talking better. So because I looked it up and so like for Terry's thing to Atlanta coming up, it's $130 for a room during that time period, and I think it's $60 or $70 in terms of food money.
Mm-hmm.
So like the federal thing is they're not the only one that's not out of whack, but is New York. I mean, when you pull up New York City, the rooms they give you is $286, but it's like Motel 6 in the city.
Well, I I did a lot on government travel.
Yeah.
And a lot of hotels will honor the government per diem rate.
Right.
the
There are
federal
ways.
Government rate. So
Yeah.
you can stay at a decent place and not have to bring a bug bomb.
Correct.
Um,
That's all. Yeah.
But I've been in a couple where
Yeah, that's
somebody's
not-
booked it.
There's-
But the meals are reasonable.
Yes. Yeah.
You can eat.
That's
at a
what we're looking for.
restaurant.
Yeah, just a little bit of
You're
reasonable.
not getting prime rib, but
no, but you can have you don't have to have Subway.
we'll continue the grievance
Yes.
section. And I sent you an email earlier.
But I got one more, and then we'll go to that one. I got one more that's.
And I have
pertaining-
I have an 11 a.m. client call.
and then we'll
so-
go to the members' comments. I'll be brief. So we paid for the show with Rick Murphy, right? The big national show. Find out that he was in town through a third party. Didn't tell us he was here. The captain that we hooked him up with that benefits from the show threw a watch party, didn't tell us. So,
Nice.
so not happy about this. And it was sort of an offhand, like, you can come if you want. Dude, we paid 90 grand for you to be on that show.
Wow.
So there's the grievance. All right, now I'm done.
Okay. Are we going into member comment? Because if so, I'll piggyback and start it off.
Yes.
Okay. On the grievance side, if you could tack on the 15% gratuity on fam trips, etc., because some of my staff kind of grumbles when they hear it's a fam trip. They still get paid their base, and then it's a discounted rate that we do. I suspect the other tour companies that host trips discounted, so then it's only
It's a double
15%
whammy.
of half the ticket value of that trip.
Right.
So from a gratuity standpoint, that doesn't benefit Mike.
Yeah.
But Mike's staff is thrilled doing fam type trips, and they'll continue to do them whether they have a choice or not. But because of that, so if that could be merged in, that if you go to a restaurant with a coupon or a 2-for-1, you generally tip off what the ticket value would be, not the bottom line. And the 15% is on the light side to begin with. So if, it kind of merges into the same thing, we're doing it, we want to support it as a business, but if there's a way that the BOCC/the county could look at that, and I don't know if that's state statute, if that's
state.
county,
It's the only way we would do it if we retooled. If the ordinance worked, we could retool our regulations that govern it. But that's a statute, so we can do 20% on a comp. But it's 15% of whatever the county paid. So
Right.
that's the law.
Charge them full price.
Yeah, I mean if that yeah.
I mean, we obviously want to be supportive of the efforts, but okay.
Yeah, that's the math.
All right, and then moving on to my other quick topic is there is a Florida Outdoor Travel Network, or Adventure Travel Network. I'm sorry, Outdoor Adventure Travel Network, that's been started about 4 years ago. I think Terry went to the first session up in Steinhatchee, and I've been to subsequent ones. Visit Florida is funding the Adventure Travel Trade Association to come in and facilitate the building of this network. And the idea is that Visit Florida, the DMOs, and operators combining to push Florida outdoor adventure travel, which is certainly Citrus County. So I'd like to encourage us from a TDC and DMO to support it and get the word out about this group. And the idea is to grow it so it's similar to the Hotel and Restaurant Association. So there's influence up at, Visit Florida and Tallahassee for adventure travel. Visit Florida is pushing adventure travel over the next year. So they're putting dollars and spend behind it. And it's a disparate community. Adventure travel's a lot of individual operators. So trying to combine them is a lot like herding cats, but not unlike Citrus County, where we have a lot of disparate activities, whether it's, cycling tours or fishing charters or whatever groups, they're all over there. So I don't know if we could push it through the advocates page, or maybe get, if you guys could send out an email to all the partners that this thing exists and encourage participation in it. And then I happen to look at the advocates page, and it's lagging. And I don't know if that's a conscious decision or it's just slipped off. But it still has Rachel's email on it, and there's only been like 3 posts in the last 4 months.
Okay.
A couple of them were pictures of a trade show booth. But that's a way to potentially reach out. I think there's like 1,500 members.
Yeah,
But anyway, I wanted you all to be aware of that group. It's a Facebook group right now, and it may evolve.
What's it called again?
Florida Adventure Travel Network.
Okay.
It's a Facebook group. You know, and I know, you know, with Facebook, you're joining as an individual versus your business. So, you know, I can't send an invite, to you all on the TDC, but you know, John and the DMO can.
Yep.
So, okay, Mike's done. Otherwise, it's been a really good month, like crazy good. I'm waiting for the shoe to drop as well, John.
Yes.
I can't. I give up trying to predict. My crystal ball sucks.
I have something, but does anybody else?
Just a quick comment. I'm trying to think of a faster way or easier way than creating an ordinance and all that, just for this travel expense per diem, if you will. Don't we have a line item for that on the budget that could be increased to include some of that, or does it
No,
have to be a separate line item?
no, we have the line item. The problem is the two statutes that govern, one, the tourist development money, and two, state travel. So the only way to make this change would be that I found was in the ordinance is to create the ordinance. That's what this would allow the county to do something different. Otherwise, we have to follow what the state does.
In the
Welcome to
meantime, I have a
government.
GoFundMe account.
Yeah. Friends
Just
of.
trying to simplify things. You know, if
Yeah,
we had
I
an
would-
extra
I would-
line item on the budget.
Every time I get
Travel food.
every
you know?
time I get frustrated and bang my head against a wall going from private side to, I mean, I'm still private side, but going into government work,
Yeah.
the big cost in government is to keep us from being a banana republic. And that's because you have so many checks and balances and everything has to go through all of these.
It's got to get complicated before it can happen.
Well,
Correct.
it does.
Well, it is a check and balance.
It's the checks and balances to make
Yeah.
sure, because otherwise it would be more expensive because people would be making off the money.
And that's why some of the larger
Just
destinations
imagine
are
what John
agencies.
would be doing if he didn't have.
No, I have too much government
kidding.
grained in me. I would be
I know,
still
I'm teasing you.
moderate, but I wouldn't always be at Subway.
Michael, no? Okay. Jackie?
I just want to bring up for next month, can I have the pot of money concept put on the agenda? Because that needs discussion. When you brought that up at our meeting, our businesses immediately promoted you to rock star because they loved the idea. And I'll say this weekend, we had the event, we did the 70s concert downtown. We had two different groups monitoring, and one said they lost track after 3,500. One said it was closer to 4,000 people in the downtown area. And that includes the bands and their following, so a majority of them stayed overnight. And like in that, it was a $16,000 event with partners, but our cost was $4,000 to put that on. So that's the kind of thing, and I know Crystal River does. We all do events, and having that two sets of money would alleviate like your cycle thing and
Mike,
out of cycle, not really. But I think instead of holding everybody up at the end of a meeting, if it's on the agenda, we can discuss it.
I asked both city managers to provide me what they wanted, and I've had nothing returned.
Oh, well, I discouraged Eric from coming with me.
No, not that. But at the meeting we had with Holly, I asked them both, tell me what you want. This isn't a cloud. I need a plan to bring forward. I asked
Right.
both of them, and I have got zero input.
Okay, well,
Yep.
I'll light a fire under mine.
Please do.
You had me at Rockstar, but I will say that I have a lot of trust and admiration for the VCB team. So I want y'all, whenever the managers come back with something, please consider it strongly and figure out if it works or it doesn't work. And whatever you guys decide, I'm 99% likely to go with. But just give it a real look because it sounded of interest to me.
Yeah. No,
So-
we'll do the same diligence we do on everything, and you know, there'll be.
Yep.
It's like I said, it's not a gift. You know, there'll be deliverables, and
No, and
that's
there
the
would be accountability. It would
Correct.
be, here's what we're doing and here's what we've done. But I think it would eliminate a lot of heartburn for everybody.
it might, yeah. But
And then quickly, our upcoming events, we have on Saturday, March 11th, our Big Bass Bluegrass and Barbecue event, which is the weekend fishing tournament. And then on Saturday, the 18th of March, we're having our St. Patrick's Day parade and party, so. That'd do it for me.
All right.
So maybe
On,
a media ticket at the Bass Fishing Tournament, is that what I heard?
on a, since this is a marketing council, I will go ahead and bring this up. My company is hosting through the chamber the same thing we did a year ago, boot camp breakfast on the 16th, 7:30 a.m. YMCA. Pre-registration is required through the chamber. It's I think breakfast station is catering. It's $20 for non-members and $15 for members. And this year's theme is love plus loyalty equals longevity in business.
Nice.
It's about how to build a love brand that ends up leveraging all of your efforts in a big way and reduces customer churn. So that's it. Anybody else have anything?
I have one thing to say.
Yes, ma'am.
So Jody mentioned the RV There Yet crew, and she was kind enough to set it up.
Best brand name ever. You have to follow that with best brand name ever. And it doesn't say RV there yet.
RV There Yet. Okay, so Jody was nice enough to set it up so I could go and hang out with them, and I was there with them on the horseback riding, and so I shot some behind the scenes footage, and so I'll be posting that later today on
Wonderful.
on Instagram and Facebook. And also that will also go on the advocates page. So I just spoke with Jody yesterday, and I'm going to be working with Terry and Jody, and we're going to be kind of revamping that advocates page. So when you brought it up, it was perfect timing. So I just want to let you know about that.
Wonderful. All right. If nothing else, we'll go open to the public. Anyone? All righty. Then we are adjourned.